And my dad started in that era where there was a shift from barrier to cremation, and that's how he started his company, where he created coffins that was easy for cremation, and then it was easier for them because my dad started with making coffin, and he was making coffin that was like thick solid wood that you need 12 people to carry, those that you see in those Chinese Taiwanese movie, the 僵尸 show. And then you convert to having the coffin, which is where the Dracula, you usually see the Dracula, the six-sided. So my dad has saw that sort of evolve, right, in the funeral industry, in the death care industry. And I think, like you said, currently now we do see family members, they are changing in terms of, in the past, it's very common for you to hear like 7 days wake, but nowadays you are more common to hear 5 days wake or 3 days wake. When I was in Australia doing my funeral celebrant course, and being the only Asian, I was the only student that's not from Australia, and I remember telling them about how funeral wakes are like in Singapore, and they're like, no, that's not, so weird, why do you want to have a wake, why do you want to grieve for someone for so long, for 3 days, 5 days? And to them, they think that it was quite absurd that I have this kind of we have like 3 days, 5 days, 7 days wake in Singapore. For them, is the faster it is, the better it is, because I think they value it differently from us, where they feel that I just want to remember the good memories of this person. And sometimes when I during my exchange programs in other countries, a lot of family members don't even choose an open casket. They choose to have a closed casket sort of ceremony. So, but I feel in Singapore, we still have this very tight relationship where we want to be able to say goodbye. That has become a norm, where everyone gather together, we commemorate about this person, we talk about this person at the wake, we eat our curry kueh and the bihun. That becomes a norm of eating and to just enjoy the atmosphere. Because again, when I share how we have our wake, where we eat peanuts, where we have food, even some of the funeral directors overseas is like, how do you do that? And I was like, why not? It's like, no, you don't serve food. I was like, okay, but we do, food is a very important part, like Singaporeans, after we have our lunch, we think about dinner. After dinner, we think about our supper. So I feel that there is still a need for us to come together to actually say farewell. It's not, it's still important for us. I think this part, I see that, even 15 years later, we won't change that. There will still be, maybe there will be a shift. When I say shift, maybe people will feel that, having it at the parlor is more beneficial for them because they don't have to stay overnight, or they feel that, I can choose the timing that I come to the parlor. But again, I think there's a need for a lot of family members to sort of fulfill the needs and then the desire of the departed, what he or she wants. Yeah, but you do see a change in, I remember when I first started Taoist sort of practice, where they have the dato wawa, where you hear the gongs and all that, the clangs, that was quite a norm. But nowadays, you get family members who say, no, I prefer to keep it very tranquil, very serene. I just want chanting. I want it a bit simpler. I want to play the songs that mom loves. So there's also a shift in terms of preference, in terms of how they want the setup to be. But having a wake, I don't think that would change over time. But probably the duration would change, yeah. So what we have also implemented was also to encourage family members to take up a digital obituary. So this digital obituary allows us to give pekim, give pekim digitally. Yes. So because basically what I share with the family members is that, I know it's a bit sort of, it is very common in China where, we do WeChat and we pay money, transfer here and there. But in Singapore, we are picking up on this. So what happened was a few weeks ago, I heard a family, so this family member he passed away, and unfortunately, it was a accident. So when he passed away, and then I know his friends. So his friends called me and said, what can I do? I said, what do you mean? He said, right now I'm collecting a lot of pekim. I said, how come you're the one appointed? He said, oh, because I'm the one who drives. So basically she has to, ask everybody, okay, how much do you want to give the Pekim? And all these people are like, in the 60s, 70s, they don't know how to use their mobile phone to transfer money. So she said, oh, I have to go to their house, they leave the money outside. I take the money, go to another house, take the money. I said, oh my God. And then I said, oh yeah, I'm going to go to the funeral wake. So she asked me what time I was going to be there. Then I said, why are you doing this? He said, oh, because they don't know how to use the transfer. I said, well, why don't you just, because at first I said, why don't you just ask them to pay you or pay now you, right? She said, they don't know how to use. So in the end, bo pian, she has to go to different house to collect the money. And which I think that also, when I share with her, I said, hey, actually we do have a pay now account for this family who has set up this online obituary. So in the end, I just gave her the account because subsequently there were people who called her again and said, hey, are you going down to the wake? Can you, long pang you to give the Pekim? So in the end, she said, no, 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 you just go to the pay now. One of the funeral that I witnessed was that during the showers of love, as you know, showers of love, the dressing and the makeup in front of the family members is mandatory for TLC. So we do have family members who came, and I remember vividly that, so I saw, because I was helping out with the hairstyle, and then I look up and there was this two family members with two phones, one was holding one and then the other one's holding the other one. And then, so I heard the conversation that was going on, and then they were like, oh, how do you like the hairstyle, and then the lady from the phone, which is actually the daughter of the deceased, so she couldn't make it back to Singapore because she's in Malaysia. So then she's like, hey, 我觉得头发, this part, so she was giving me instruction, which, I was listening to her, and then we were adjusting it according to what she would like. And then, then she was one of those who give the final thumbs up. Because usually we will make sure that family agree with the hairstyle, the makeup before we end coffin. And then I told the family members that, oh, on the funeral day we will have live streaming so that you all can focus on the prayers instead of holding the phone, and they really were so elated when they hear that. So that's how live streaming has sort of, in the past we have never heard of live streaming, but when I was in New Zealand and when I was in Australia as well, they have live streaming in the crematorium. So that particular CD is then later on given to the family members. So at a crematorium, there's always someone at the back who's controlling. So music are given by the funeral director, like, okay, play this song for entry song. This is for the reflection song. So, and then there's always a live stream because I once did a memorial service for a very young girl. And she's 15 years old, and I had to do a memorial service for her in Singapore. So she was cremated in Australia, and then the mom said, we want to do a celebrant style because they had a celebrant in Australia. So we actually did her memorial service at the art house. So it's very unheard of because having a memorial service basically is in the absence of the body, there's no casket. So the good thing is that you are able to have a memorial service at anywhere as long as the venue allows. And I remember what the mom did was she passed me 2 CDs. One CD was filmed by the school because the school did a memorial service for her. And the other CD was actually the cremation ceremony. So it's actually all filmed in the crematorium. So what I had to do was to curate the entire service, and then using footages from the cremation, using footages from the school, the principal's eulogy, vice principal eulogy, and then put together the celebrant. There were family members in Singapore who could log on and actually watch this live streaming. So that idea was like, wow, in Singapore we don't have that because most of the time people will come to the funeral wake, and it's sort of unheard of until lately, where because of the restriction of 10 people, then you start to hear, oh, live streaming, So you see, the technology is on our side and we need to learn how to tap on it. And the other day, I also shared on my page about a Korean company where they did the VR, the virtual reality, where the mother was able to connect back with her daughter who passed away suddenly, right? So that to me, I find that, in the virtual world, in the digital age, there's so many things that we can use and help. So a lot of people ask me about that video, whether it was something that I've envisioned and whether it was a good thing. Initially, I really struggled to watch it. When I saw the title, I was like, no, this is another Black Mirror sort of episode, which, I always feel is not right because you're holding on to denial, right? You're denying the fact that the person has passed. But after watching it, I felt that it was necessary for that to happen because, for the mom to have closure when things was not, it was so short. It was so short lived, and they couldn't say goodbye. And for her to have certain closure, I think that's important.